You're listening to Pushing Underground Radio with DJ Orson Welles. Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome along to a very special edition of Swing Brother Swing. This is the 13th episode of Swing Brother Swing, and it's a Halloween special. I'm going to be playing you a bunch of oldies music that is particularly creepy, and generally like classical music and a bunch of other stuff. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to get things started off with some Graham Plowman. This is a track entitled Cthulhu Rising. A piece of music composed by Graham Plowman entitled Cthulhu Rising. Obviously, Cthulhu is a mythological creation of H.P. Lovecraft. I have an H.P. Lovecraft collection entitled The Necronomicon, which has pretty much all of Lovecraft stuff, and I still haven't even cracked the spine on it. I know a bit about Lovecraft, but I've never actually sat down and read any of his stuff, so I'm looking forward to doing that later on. It's going to be good. I've got a fantastic show coming up for you today. Like I say, it's mostly going to be kind of oldies music, a bit of classical, just generally creepy stuff in keeping with Halloween, but kind of vaguely Swing Brother Swing. I'm going to be playing you some Roy Orbison later on. I'm also going to play some Tom Waits, predictably. And I'm also going to be playing some music from Anton de Lavey, who was the head of the Church of Satan, which is a bit of a random choice, but I think you guys will enjoy it. For now, though, I'm going to play you some music by Tiny Tim. This is his cover of the Doors classic, People Are Strange.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down.
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. Honey, people are strange. When you're a stranger, faces look ugly. When you're alone, women seem wicked. When you're unwanted, streets are uneven. When you're down, when you're strange, the faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers remembers your name. When you're strange,
When you're strange,
when you're strange. When you're strange, when you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name. When you're strange,
when you're strange,
when you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange, honey. Strange, when you're a stranger, faces look ugly. When you're alone, women seem wicked. When you're unwanted, streets shine evil. When you're down, when you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, no one remembers your name.
when you're strange,
When you're strange, when you're strange. When you're
Well, that was fun, wasn't it? That was Tiny Tim with his cover of People Are Strange. Going to play you some music from the jazz legend Jelly Roll Morton now. This is a track entitled Creepy Feeling. So that was Jelly Roll Morton there with a creepy feeling. It might just be that I haven't slept since last night, so my mind's all over the place, but I totally had a really strong image of skeletons dancing in a graveyard when that song was playing. It was kind of nice. I enjoyed it. I'm going to play you some Rowan Theatre Band now. This is a track entitled Reunited at Last.
Dorothy Edwards was always a good girl. She always did as she was told. She never would argue or scold. Was always polite and controlled. She worked at the granary down by the nunnery, grinding the grain into flour. Never a moan or a frown, till the soldiers they came into town. Now every day she tended the grave of Private Ellis remembering the fleeting time they spent beneath the boughs, and she plucks the weeds and sows the seeds of a lifetime wearing black, and she can't believe he's never coming back. But even now, she can't believe he's never coming back. They met in December, they married in March, and by April he'd gone off to war. She cried till her eyes were sore. Her smile wasn't seen anymore. The letters